Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's show. Hope everyone is doing well during these crazy times. So, one question I've been getting a lot is with public mass canceled and as a result, religious education in our parishes be canceled, how do I teach my children about the faith? Well, many things. There's many things that we can do. Because as parents, the Catechism says it is our responsibility to teach the children their faith. Okay, it's not just the priest, it's not just the catechist, it's up to us as well. So it could be tough. I mean, the church is losing people in droves. I was listening to Bishop Barron's Word on Fire podcast a couple months ago, and he said for every one person that comes into the church, there are six that leave. That's a staggering statistic. Kind of scary when you think about it. So why would someone leave the truth? Well, it's quite simple. They leave because they don't know what the truth is. A majority of those who leave the church do so because they have not been taught what the church believes and their questions haven't been answered. Now, there's always exceptions. See, but it comes down to catechesis. Now, in my time as a catechist, I've heard parents say, teaching about the faith is your job. I don't know where to begin. So, where can we start? One, we need to teach our children about the Mass. So yes, take them to Mass. In my first year teaching religious education, I had 17 students, and only 6 of them went to Mass on a weekly basis. The Catechism calls the parents the primary teachers of the faith. And this is reiterated in Scripture several times. Children look to us parents as an example, and if the church is not important to us, it's very likely to not be important to them. So when you're at Mass, explain to your children what is going on. Tell them how much Scripture the Mass contains, why the priest says what he does during the consecration, and how the Mass is a foretaste of the wedding supper of the Lamb that takes place in heaven while we offer Mass here. Now, there's no filler in Mass. Everything is important. The more the children know, the more they're going to become engaged. Now, we're living in unprecedented times. Public Mass is currently suspended in most of the United States, if not the world. Many priests and dioceses have taken it upon themselves to live stream private Masses for our benefit. Now, this is beneficial for all of us because the Mass is still happening. You can also find many of these Masses on YouTube, or you can record them from EWTN, or Catholic TV, or Shalom World. This gives us the added benefit of being able to pause and discuss different aspects of the Mass. Secondly, pray with your children. Now, I haven't always been very good at this step. I had the standard objections, it's too late or I'm too busy. But one evening as I said goodnight to my son, he said, I'd really like for you to pray with me before bed. See, I learned something very important that night. Your children want you to pray for them, or to pray with them. In doing so, you become an example of what prayer is to them. Now, is teaching prayer a priority, or something you do in a passive way? If it's a priority for you, then chances are it will be a priority for them too. In establishing a strong prayer life, they and we understand more clearly just how much Christ loves us. But remember, that it's impossible to establish a strong relationship without dialogue. It's the same with prayer. There's no communion without dialogue. Prayer helps us establish a stronger bond with God, and that's something we desperately need to teach our children. We can talk about prayer until we're blue in the face, but there's no substitute for showing them how to do it. The more we show it, the more we'll talk about its importance. And as a result, our relationship with God will grow, and so will our relationship with our children. In this uncertain time, ask your children if they have any prayer requests. They will chime in, and you can pray directly for their needs, their concerns, and those of their friends. You may also be surprised as what you learn about their lives when you do that. Another thing we can do is read Scripture with our children. Reading Scripture with our children may seem like a given, But let's ask ourselves, are we doing it enough? When I say read scripture, I mean picking up the Bible and reading it. This isn't to say that children's Bibles and picture Bibles can't play an important role, but they should be complementary resources. This will help children develop a deep love and appreciation for sacred scripture. This in turn will lead to more questions about the faith that we can answer. This will show the biblical basis for the Catholic faith and will help them withstand those anti-Catholic objections that will come in the future. When answering these questions, it's also important to be honest. If our children ask a question we don't know the answer to, we have to admit that. That's very important. Then research it and come back with an answer. There's no better time than the present to strengthen our commitment to Scripture and its reading. This will replace a part of the screen time most children are getting while school's out. Teach them that the Scriptures are love letters from God. This will underscore how important they are to the faith. Now, the 3 things I've said are only a few of the many things that you can do to teach your children about the faith during these times. Take the time and make a plan. The faith does not stop, and it's our responsibility as parents to pass it on. All right, God bless you guys. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Please share, subscribe, and God bless you. Teach your children the faith. God bless.